Welcome in, everybody. I am your host, Matt Novak. Alongside me, as always, Grant Hawker.
Always.
On the third mic tonight, Jameson DeFore. He, yeah,
No
we'll get
words.
to it. We'll get to it. Man, guys, it's week 11, or we're just wrapping week 11, and we are already talking about it. And I think rightfully, the playoff picture is starting to come into focus ever so slightly. It's in the distance, it's way out there. We don't know all of those colors and how it's going to come together, but man, we can start to see some truth to that picture. And we're going to talk about several of those things tonight. Super excited to get in the convo. But this past week had some key matchups that factor into those potential playoff scenarios. But first, 5 games, 5 of them ended with scoring drives this week. Finally, the NFL gives us exactly what we love that it can do when it goes our way. But those 5 games, the worst of which, first one, the Dolphins beat the Commanders 16-13 in overtime. By the way, if you're watching the NFL.com plays of the week, and Mariota taking off down the field in the fourth quarter, inside the 20-yard line of the Dolphins, in the fourth quarter, the score is 13-13. And the Commanders lost that game in overtime 16-13. Just do the math on how awesome that game probably was just from that description. I did watch a lot of it. It was terrible. The Bears were down a point and got a Santos field goal through the wind. What a weird field goal. Looked like it was going to hook out and give the Vikings a win. Didn't happen. They get it 19-17 over the Vikings. The Bears do. They are sitting atop the NFC North.
Do you have that on your bingo card?
No.
Nope.
But I don't think they're going to stay there. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. The Texans got another win from their defense and Davis Mills over the terrible Titans. I don't think they would have gotten this win against any other team in the league. They get it 16-13 on the last possession. The Panthers walked off the Falcons in overtime on Bryce Young's franchise record, 448 passing yards. That one was 30-27. And the Broncos are still out there collecting wins. They got the Chiefs with a late fourth quarter drive for a Lutz field goal and earned a 22-19 win. Again, we're going to talk about a few of those games in a moment, and they were all interesting for various reasons. But the game of the week for my money was the one that ended on a missed field goal. The Rams are sitting atop the NFC West, the best division in football. Everybody can shut their mouths. The best division in football. And the Rams are sitting at the top of it. They get to 21-19. That 56-yarder didn't have a chance at the end. Like
61.
It just went, wee. What was it?
61.
Oh, dude, legit. When I went to look up the yardage, I'm not kidding. In ESPN today, it says 56 on their thing.
Yeah, ESPN's wrong because that is tied for Jason Myers' career long.
Oh, dude, I remember that. Okay, yeah, because I watched the very end. I watched that field goal live. I caught that last drive, basically. In the first half of this game, the Hawks and Rams each had 4 possessions. In the fourth quarter of this game, that did seem to go on forever. That was a very long fourth quarter. The two teams each had the ball 4 times as they traded possessions. So 8 total possessions just in the fourth quarter. Jameson, a lot of emotion for the winner. We're going to start with the winner this week. That was my intention between the two of you, as we always have a Ram and Seahawk fan on the show. And I was going to give you the floor because you had to be, dude, just sweating bullets at the end of that.
Yeah, first things first, Ethan Evans, the punt of a lifetime.
Oh, my gosh.
That
greatest
field
punt
goal,
of the year.
Yeah, that field goal doesn't.
Wow.
We don't have that result if we don't pin you like as close as physically possible with a football coming off of someone's foot. Like you may as well just have walked it down there. And I'm not gonna lie, there was a piece of me watching that where I was like, oh, this is exactly like that first matchup with the Vikings last year where we backed them up and then we got that safety, maybe a little bit of a missed call on Sam Darnold in the end zone to beat the Vikings last year. And I was like, oh, this is kind of shades of that. And then obviously they immediately get out of there. But yeah, I mean, that whole drive, I was definitely clenching. We'll just say that.
Yep.
I was a little confused, and I would have been a little frustrated as a Seahawks fan. I didn't think that the time management there was as good as it could have been to give them as many opportunities to actually get closer. I felt like they played a lot of plays and burned a lot of time, like within the your own 35, basically, like getting out of there. I was like, they're spending a lot of time, and I think it was Greg Olson on the game who was mentioning the same thing. And I was like, they are like taking as much time as possible, which is obviously the thing you want to do, but in that position, you're going to be able to use all the time, no worries. So let's maybe be a little bit more efficient with it. And then that all came down to that very close fraction of a second, 5 seconds left, getting down, surrendering yourself, getting the timeout. Very questionable.
That clock.
And very, for being a Rams home clock, like you gotta, hey, come on, man. Let's have some
get
home
rid of
cooking.
that
I
last
mean,
second on the board.
I will say that that's close. The argument is that he gave himself up, and like when I get into my stuff, like there are some questionable things, and I think Jameson there were some questionable calls that did not go our way in that game. But again, that's football. That happens all the time, so I'm not using that as an excuse.
So,
but maybe it's a little bit of a give me.
Yeah, up to that point though, when they were lining up for the 61, I don't know, I guess I was feeling pretty good about our chances there because it's been a while since he'd kicked that far. But then there's now we have the juiced kicking balls this season. So there was a little bit of that in my head where I'm like, oh, great, it's all going to come down to here. And I was like, at least this wasn't a 57-yarder, which he hit earlier in the game pretty easily. So I was like, okay, once you get past 60 with some of these guys, you have a decent chance. And then coming off the foot, wide, it was pretty immediately. Yeah, that I was like, okay, so I don't have to sweat this out to the final nanosecond here. But obviously, that Seattle defense is crazy. And it's a little bit of all of the things that make these games always so interesting. One, it's the rock, paper, scissors match of the NFC West. Two, it's the fact that all three of our teams are really good, or at the very worst, will always have very good elements to those teams. And there's a rivalry aspect where it's like everybody's got everybody's number in certain cases. So this game was already going to be a close game. And then for it to end up being what it was, despite the 4 turnovers from Sam Darnold, which, again, it was one of those games where as I'm watching it, I'm like, every drive, as soon as I was like, he's going to give us another one, he did. And then we couldn't do anything with it. And it was just this like stalemate. Really, it was the story of the defenses, I thought. Like as confident as I was in the Rams defense going into this game, I would not have expected us to survive a game like that where we're really only allowing 1 touchdown to that offense. That was very surprising. And obviously a touchdown that came late. And that's with us not also successfully like converting on offense either, which was the thing that I felt the most confident going into this game. So I felt pretty confident coming away, as much as I had to sweat that out. And obviously you don't feel the greatest after almost losing a game where you intercept a quarterback 4 times. But to be able to win off of our defense versus an offense that's that good, and still squeak away against a defense that's also that good, and for our special teams to make a play, I felt very relieved. And first and foremost, if we would have lost that game in a vacuum, I would have took that and been like, okay, that sucks, but that's the coin flip of the NFC West. But to finally get that win and be able to look at the playoff picture and know that the margin for error for all of our teams right now, like we have a pretty good shot of getting into the playoffs, but to get into that, win that tiebreaker is absolutely huge. So definitely was sweating that out, was a little frustrated with the second half offensive play calling, but to get out of there with a win, I'm sure it'll be maybe a little bit different next time we meet in a handful of weeks in Seattle.
We had to come in out of that first quarter feeling really good about the run game. That got established early. Williams with the score early. But what I saw is what you saw there. You guys did punt 6 times in this game. Also had the fumble, 7 possessions.
Fumble, pretty rare.
I think that was his first. Didn't they say that was his first?
Ever? No, he fumbled in his first rookie game, and that might have been like one of his last ones, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah. But like 7 possessions not resulting in points is a big deal for any NFL team in a game. And like I saw what you saw, like not a lot of yards coming all of a sudden. I feels a little stagnant. Then you guys trade touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Finally, some points getting up on the board. Anybody's game still kind of scenario, but it was a game where you saw both defenses respond. And I thought that was awesome. Just literally just busting heads. And I said going into this in last week's recording, I was like, man, to me, the best team in the NFL right now, today, is the winner of this game.
Yeah.
And to see them duke it out like that and it go the way that it did, it was phenomenal, man. You can't ask for much more as a football fan than to have it come down to the last play. And for those defense to be hitting that hard, special teams to contribute. It was all phases of the game contributing to that outcome. And a lot of times some element of weakness, but like the offense has had moments. Stafford looked like a genius a few times. Puka looked like the best receiver in the world for a couple minutes.
That toe tap was disgusting.
Yeah,
Dude,
JSN
everybody
with,
had
the
a moment.
one-handed snag from JSN that I was like, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting to see. By the way, I was looking through some Seahawks boxes, including this one, and Kenneth Walker. Not necessarily like a full-on revival, but consistency. You know, we all thought Charbonnet would have his job by now for sure, Grant included. We all thought Charbonnet was going to take it, especially the way he played early on and the way the touches seemed to be going. So anyway, but just everything contributed to the outcome. But Grant, he touched on it briefly, and in the sorrowful portion of this for you, the loser, 4 interceptions is a lot of interceptions.
Seeing ghosts, baby. Seeing ghosts for sure. Yeah, it was funny. Like watching this game, I was watching it and like, getting ready as my like first Sunday back after being on leave with the baby. So I was like watching it while I was working on stuff. And every time that he threw pick, I was just like, yeah, of course it's gonna be right now. Like I was like, the Rams are his kryptonite. Like like that's just how it's gonna be. It's looking very similar. And this time it wasn't really pressure. It's like Sam Darnold didn't get sacked in this game at all, I don't think. Maybe one late that I missed, but like hardly ever, just making really bad choices. And I think it's because the Rams knew to just put an extra guy in the middle of the field. And that was where I was frustrated, was because seemed to be no adjustment on the offensive side to go to the perimeter more, where Sam Darnold's been living in the middle. Like absolutely, like that's where he's been his best and thriving. And you even in the beginning of this game on the perimeter, it was working. And then I guess don't know where that happened. That adjustment didn't make where they're like, hey, the perimeter is still working. Let's keep doing that as opposed to keep trying to force it down the middle. And I think all of his interceptions were in the middle there. So yeah, definitely frustrated, but I think it was a freaking miracle that it came down to this. If you just told me 4 turnover, like Sam Darnold turned the ball over 4 times, I was like, oh yeah, then they probably got lost by 3 scores. That's what I thought. And so as they were marching down the field, I'm like, if they get this, cool. If they don't, cool, because I thought this game was over already. Like you as a fan, you realize you're like, yeah, this game's probably over, whatever. And you like make peace with it before, it hits 0. And so I was like, you know what, if they make this, cool. If not, whatever. And to go into LA against a divisional opponent, turning the ball over 4 times and to lose by 3, you can call it cope, but like I can live with that. I can absolutely live with that, because again, even if you remove all that and you say we lose by 3 to the Rams off a missed field goal at the end of the game, whatever, that's fine. I definitely agree with you, Matt, that whoever wins this game is the best team in the league. And based how some of these other teams play, I think the second best team might still be is the loser of this game, based on how the Lions played, how even the Eagles played. Like some of these,
it was almost like a 1B situation.
I like legitimately, because no one else balled out like crazy. These other top 5 or 6 teams went crazy, and so I think Jameis, I don't know about you, but I think there may be a third meeting between these teams.
I think so too, and that
at some
gives
point
me heartburn.
Yeah, so
high potential when you look at the way the playoffs are laying out right now. Niners got to win, move back into the current playoff picture in that top 7 in the NFC. Yeah, it's all going to come down to records matchups. In the end, we're going to have one loss here or there determines a traveling game for one team or the other. It's by no means have the Rams like locked up anything with a win like this early. We all understand that,
and we've got a tough stretch. Coming up,
and we've got a really easy one. We got the Titans, Falcons, and Vikings,
which is why this game was so huge for us. Even if it's okay, you get into the playoffs, still you're going to be fine. It's got to get that one over with before.
Every
Bucks,
big
Lions,
win,
Seahawks again.
Every big win matters for the Seahawks here. They moved to 2-2 in the division. That's going to be important if records align. That divisional record's going to matter head to head, of course, and then division record after that. But when we talk about the playoff picture later, got to consider how tough the NFC West is, how hard it is to get all these wins and to rack those up when we got 3 teams just going to knock heads in this division. The Cardinals suck. Like really bad. They're terrible.
It's shaping up. A lot of it's shaping up, honestly, to be what we all predicted in the preview shows of probably realistically every team's going to get one on each other. Like that reality is there. Obviously, the reality on the Seahawks side is for the Niners and the Rams both to sweep them because they lost both of those, the first ones. But it's shaping up. Cardinals suck. I think both our teams are all of our teams are going to sweep them, and then it comes down to really this is what matters. These games against each other.
And honestly, like this division beats up on itself every year. We're used to it as fans. Like It does suck watching our teams beat up on each other in one respect. I wish that, by the way, that all three of our teams were not in the same division. That would be fantastic. I don't wish that for the NFL and the overall fandom, but just for the sake of our conversations, it would be really nice. The Seahawks, the only trouble they've had, because that's, as Grant pointed out before we hopped on the call today, that's 9 points. 9 points is the difference in these 3 losses that the Seahawks now have. 9 total points.
And it's all one plays. Like,
super tough.
it's all one play.
All one play
it's a strip sack. It's a strip sack in week 1. It's a ball bounced off a helmet and a pick against the Bucks, and then it's a missed field goal. There's a world. Three plays. We're 10-0. Same with the Rams here too.
Yes, blocked field goal, and then the fumbles and the overtime stuff versus the Niners in that weird Thursday night game. It's like the difference.
So you just hope, as a fan, you hope that those just maybe swing the other way here down the stretch, and you just keep it close, and then hope for someone to deliver and make a play.
Yeah, if you look genuinely at how I'll just take the Seahawks as for instance, since we're on them right now. If you look at how they played teams, very efficient. They do a good job on third down, have one of the better third down percentages in the league, one of the better offenses currently in the league. If you're just looking at overall production numbers, and if you don't believe me in that regard, I encourage you to go look up on Pro Stats Reference. I love that site, and check out those offensive and defensive rankings for your favorite team. But I did that with Seattle, went through some of their stuff. They, as high as those rankings are, they're 11 for 27 on third and fourth down against the Niners and the Seahawks. They have 6 turnovers in those games, and 5 of those obviously belong to Darnold. That has been pretty rough, though the Rams have been his kryptonite. Darnold's now 1-4 against the Rams in his career. He got his lone win as a Jet against the Rams in 2020. In his last 3
I
games.
hate that game. That game.
Yeah. It's a bad one.
We all have those games as fans that like contest that you remember from 3 years ago. Like for me, there's a terrible loss against the Giants in like 2019 with Russ. Just played like the worst game imaginable. Like we all have those one games that we remember that are just so haunting.
That's when I was like, we have to get rid of Jared Goff. This is unbelievable.
and you did. But no, it really seems like the Rams seem to be, when you just look through it, obviously if you just even have a short-term memory and remembered about to last year, his last 3 games against LA, dude's been sacked 12 times and has 6 turnovers against them. It's bad. It's really bad.
Terrible.
And it's by far the team that he's the worst against. Like when you look up his career stats versus different teams, the Rams have been, and McVay's system, all the things that he does, just put Darnold in these crazy situations where he does not do well.
What was so impressive is that he wasn't pressured a whole lot, like I said earlier.
Right.
Like in that game, in that playoff game, he was pressured like over half of his dropbacks, sacked 9 times. But in this one, pocket was relatively clean. They just
I mean, I'll say this, like, even when you look at his passing stats and his like completion percentage, I think he had 11 incompletions or something, but 4 of those were interceptions. So when you really look back at it, a lot of the pressure that was there was some stuff up the middle that bothered him on some of the interceptions, but not in a way that is making him have to scramble for his life and do that kind of thing, like turn him into a superhero. And then, of course, he's maybe not Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. But I do think that part of that is if he's okay, maybe taking a sack or 2 in that
100%.
moment. That's probably one of
that jump ball interception. I think that was that 4th one.
Some
just
of
take
those,
a sack, bro. Yeah,
it's hard, especially when you are playing with a flamethrower of an arm this season so far, to be able to take that down. Ironically, those are things that like Matthew Stafford earlier in his career would struggle with a lot. Is just, okay, I'm on fire and I can make whatever throw I want to downfield, so I'm just going to chuck it. So that's the one thing that I noticed.
Yeah, no, 100%. He even admitted that in post game. He was like, "Yeah, there's a couple of instances looking at film. I should have taken the sack and put the position to live another down. Just a smart thing."
You can't forget the safeties play football. Because, dude, like, and that's where he seems to get in trouble, is that second mode of coverage, that over the top, a lot of the times.
Cam Kitchens gets to this game for us back there. Yep.
That one last year, pick 6. Yep.
Exactly. Like, he seems to just read the corner, and he's, okay, my guy's where he needs to be, and there's just that half a beat where he doesn't see the top, and those are correctable things. Like, they are. But he's got to correct him against the Rams. That part really matters. It's a division opponent that he could very well see in the playoffs. He's got to figure out how to correct this against the Rams. Like, you can, and because these things are compounding. You have 9 sacks in one game, you have 4 interceptions in another.
Yeah. And
You got to figure that out quick.
what is still insane though, out of it, and you can say it's cope, whatever, is that he still put them in a position to win this game.
Yep.
And it's just this game was insane. It is so weird what happened, and I hate it, and it's frustrating. And he does not beat the allegations, and he still won't until he wins a playoff game.
You got to do it once.
Got to do it once.
All that matters. Do it once. Prove you can do it. And this is, again, we're not burying a guy. There's other opportunities coming. Dude, do the right thing, and he has done the right thing the majority of the time this season, and it'll get him there. I want to move on to some other ones. The Chiefs, I want to say it right now, real loud. The Chiefs are dead. It's over. The 9-year reign in the AFC West is over. I am so excited to watch somebody else come out of this division into the playoffs as the division champion. We don't have to sit here and just grovel at the feet of somebody who's genuinely great at football and, holy crap, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. But we don't have to do it this year because they're not very good. Dude, we thought Rice comes in and maybe it saves this offense. Pacheco obviously been out a ton with injury. Kareem Hunt can't get stuff established. But they don't have it on a lot of different levels. Like you have Chris Jones, and that's terrifying. Like he's going to get his all the time. But like when you watch the rest of that team, the youthfulness seems to be there. The oopsie, we didn't get it done on third down. Like all the little things are adding up for the Chiefs, and the W's are not. They fall to 5-5. I cannot be more excited, obviously. But what's astounding is that the Broncos were actually able to win this game because they kicked 5 stinking field goals in a 22-19 fest. Because legitimately, it's boring. Okay, like it's boring football in the sense of how they got there. There was not a lot of electricity to this, in my opinion. I watched this game back, went through every play, and I'm just like, it is ho-hum football. But that's what the Broncos have been doing, is winning ugly games consistently. They played the worst game maybe in the history of the NFL, that 10-7 against the Raiders on Thursday Night Football, and then they come in and do this to the Chiefs. And in one sense, good on them. They're getting wins, but they're all ugly. And this is just not fun football for sure. I don't know how Sean Payton is managing to do what he's doing right now. I do, okay? Because there's one thing they do better than everybody else. They just get sacks. They are on pace right now to break the 85 Bears sack record. But there's 3 guys on that team that had double-digit sacks, Richard Dent included, and they're going to beat it. If you watch and you look at who they're about to face, you go down the rest of their schedule, the Broncos could get it done. But they've also proved for sure that they're beatable. Like I mentioned, getting the field goals is fine and everything. Lutz is going to have a career year in points scored, possibly. And that's saying a lot because he's playing New Orleans with Sean Payton and did real good there too. But the Broncos have 83 possessions this year, you guys, in which they have not scored points. Fumble, interception, punt, downs. Those are if you gave up a safety, but they haven't. Those are the ways you cannot score. They have 83 possessions. They lead the league. To contrast, the team that they just beat that's 5-5 has 48. So consistently, the Broncos are not scoring on drives. But the crazy thing is, they don't seem to care. They're just battling out field position and saying, guess what? We're going to send 4 guys at you, and somebody's going to be on the ground in about 2.5 seconds. Like they do it almost every play. They're putting a hand on the quarterback. If you seriously just watch their defense, almost every play that quarterback gets touched. It's crazy what Benito and the rest of these guys are doing. It's an insane effort by that defensive line.
You say that it doesn't care. They don't care. They will come January when they need to score points.
Yep.
Like when those field goals need to be touchdowns, that's when they'll care.
When they throwing Mo picks.
When they need the drive to go get a touchdown, they need 5 points, not 2. They're going to care then, and they haven't done that yet. So
I don't disagree at all. They're playing like they don't care. They're playing like they don't give a rip. Like they are solely relying on that defense. As people who have lived through watching Peyton Manning get his last Super Bowl with this team and how it was constructed, basically the same way that Von Miller-led pass rush.
No fly zone.
It was incredible what they did on that defense, and it seems to be, honestly, pretty mirrored. Granted, Bo Nix is playing much better than Peyton Manning actually did that season,
yeah,
for sure. Year before, he was fantastic and had MVP-esque numbers, but then finally came crashing in his last season, but still walked out with the dub because of that D. But it was legitimately like difficult for me to go through this game on all these plays and have watched so much of them this year and say, like we've been alluding to and I guess talked about a little bit, these guys aren't good. Like they're not. I said it last week. Are they? And we talked about it for a minute, but like after watching them again this week, they're not good. They're not great. They're just not. They can't get first downs when they need them consistently. They don't seem to do the things that you do in the red zone with any care of consistency. Like they're just fine always collecting field goals. And every time the game is within one possession, they're going to take the field goal and they don't give a rip. Okay, go ahead. We'll just get the ball back. We'll do this again. That's how we'll get 6 points. We'll just do it in 2 possessions instead of 1. And it's like a lot. It is just wild to think about how many possessions that they're forfeiting. It's literally almost 40 more possessions that they have had and not scored on than the Chiefs. So at a 9-2 record, they've got to be one of the worst 9-2 teams that I've witnessed just because they're not going to get it done in today's NFL. That defense is not going to do it. It can't.
Yeah, this is to me, this is a team that has first round bye and second round exit written all over it. And that defense is insane, but I'm sorry. Again, like as much as defense wins championships, like there has to be a certain level of offense to make that true. And people are going to want to talk about the Bo Nix fourth quarter stats and the comeback wins and all this stuff. And it's like, cool, that's cute. But when you are in the playoffs, that's a very different story. And I will say this, looking at the playoff picture, I do think the AFC playoff picture is going to look much different by comparison to the NFC playoff picture right now. But I will say, as much as I think that this Broncos team is a second round exit for them after they have a first round bye, there are still like the teams that are here, like I don't feel super strongly about right now, like doing anything. Maybe like I think the Broncos unit here, maybe besides the Patriots offense right now, I guess the Colts offense technically is like the best unit in the playoff picture right now. But I still, even with all that, I'm like, I don't feel like if the Seahawks or the Rams made the Super Bowl, or even if the Niners were healthy this year and made the Super Bowl, and it's all right, we get Bo Nix and the Broncos on a neutral site, I'd be like, all right, sign me up. Give me that.
Feasting.
These, like our team's defenses and how we've known them versus Bo Nix, as good as the Broncos defense is, I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, but it's because all of our team's offenses can move the ball, at least.
Exactly.
And like the thing is too, is like you can have an elite defense like the Broncos have and win a Super Bowl. Absolutely. But the difference is that those offenses have to be, you can't be a bottom tier offense. You can have
the Browns.
Like
the Browns have a great defense. That offense is non-existent. You don't win football games.
Absolutely. And like, again, come the playoffs, when they need that touchdown, they're not going to get it. They just aren't. Because if you're not going to do it in the regular season, when the competition is much harder, when the stakes are much higher, in what world would you believe that they're now all of a sudden going to go get that touchdown when they need it? They're just not. You have to be able to do it in the regular season. Who you are in the regular season is also who you are in the playoffs. I'm sorry, the trends, the habits, the way you play doesn't automatically just shift in the playoffs. It just doesn't. In the NFL, you are who you are.
And they're just good. They're not great. They're just good and not great.
They are 15th and 16th in most offensive statistics. Like that's so literally mid on offense.
Yeah, and when you look at like weapons too, we can't not bring into the conversation that Dobbins is now out for the year and has been doing a great job for them. We have been Dobbins fans, have been super sad. I remember, I think I was standing next to Grant when he suffered that horrible injury for the Ravens, and we were outside at work talking, and all of a sudden, like, we hear season gone, and we're like, no, like I remember having that dialogue, like, dude, that sucks. We love this guy. And so to lose him again, that's a big deal. You're putting a lot on a rookie running back, putting a lot on a second-year quarterback, and he's got one really good red zone target in Cortland Sutton. and a guy who's past his prime in Ingram at the tight end position. So weird to say that when he led led all tight ends in catches last year, but this year does look slow. He looks slow. So they just don't have a lot of weapons on that side of the ball. And so when push comes to shove, and you go up against an elite offensive line, which the NFC possesses more of, or you're at least going to see when you get into the AFC playoffs, you're going to see those top-tier offensive lines. Man, maybe that's it. That's the recipe. You just got to deal with it. Because they don't have impressive wins this season. The Broncos do not. Like, when you go through their schedule, this is a team that has two-score wins. That's it. They had won by 3 or less points a majority of games, a majority of those 9 wins. They have a win against the Cowboys' horrible defense, that 44-24. And then they have the 28-3 against the literal worst defense in the league, and the Bengals. So those are the 2 teams that they've been able to put up big numbers on and hold off. They only beat the Titans 20-12 to open the season. They lost to the Colts and the Chargers. By the way, that last loss September 21st against the Chargers.
And winning streak.
Yep. And they beat the Eagles in a good game. That's a good win for them. 21-17. I've stated that multiple times. Only beat the Jets the next week, 13-11. They beat the Giants by 1. They beat the Texans by 3. They beat the Raiders by 3. They beat the Chiefs, the 5-5 Chiefs, not the good ones from years past. The 5-5 Chiefs by 3. They just have not consistently done what they need to do in terms of offensive production. And I don't want to beat that horse to death, but it feels like we are. So I'm gonna move on from it unless we got a quick hitter.
Oh, I was gonna say, and too, like, this offense, like, if you're gonna be in the playoffs, you don't have to have the most star-studded offense, but you got to have an A+ guy somewhere on your team.
Yeah, that's
like,
the difference between them and the Eagles. That's the difference between them and the Eagles. Like, the Eagles don't win. Like, the Broncos are like the JV Eagles. Like, you win games the same way, but the Eagles have the more impressive wins. But their offense is lackluster. However, they have guys at some positions that they can trust to do things.
And you would absolutely
Super Bowl
replace
last year with them.
And you would absolutely replace every skill position player on the Eagles with the Broncos right now. Like, you would Cortland Sutton, he's 17th in yards. He's tied for 28th in touchdowns, 32nd in receptions, an average of 14.4, which is 63rd. Like, he's fine, but like, A.J. Brown, Devontae Adams, you'd both take over them. But, like, they don't have anybody. You look at the Colts. They got Jonathan freaking Taylor. You look at the Bills. They got Josh Allen, and they got James Cook. Like, you've got to have an A+ weapon somewhere. It can even be your quarterback. But they have B guys everywhere. That's not a recipe for success.
Great offensive line.
Sure.
But
yeah, really good offensive line. Top 10 offensive line for sure.
But Bo Nix still chooses to roll outside of his pocket and throw.
Listen, you leave my guy alone. That's what he does. Leave my guy alone. As much as I don't like that offense, I'm definitely always rooting for him. But no, they've got a couple of cupcakes coming too, by the way. Commanders this week, Raiders the week following. Those are both road games. Way to get the road games over and done with against some really easy opponents. And then they'll be back home against the Packers. They're in the middle of December, and the Broncos the Jaguars back to back. They are playing the Chiefs one more time in Kansas City. If the Chiefs are even in contention at that point, or those guys might be trying to play spoiler, that's the last Thursday night game of the year. That is on Christmas. And then they are hosting the Chargers in what could be a game that doesn't matter in Week 18. So they got those 2 wins. That is the playoffs, by the way. The Raiders and the Commanders are the playoffs. They can lose the rest of these games, and they're in the playoffs at 11-6. In the AFC, that's the ticket. You got it. Somebody's probably going to make it at 10-7. I would assume that they are at least in the 6th seed. If they win these next 2 games, it's over. The Chiefs, by contrast here, like, they have so many things to answer, and I was going to move on, but I want to hit their schedule. And just to all the Chiefs fans that I know don't like listening to me talk about football because I hate their team so much, and I told you early and often, this is not your year. You have to play the Colts this week at home. They are coming off their bye. Good luck. They are traveling to Dallas after that. And, okay, they are going to play the Texans, who will have Stroud back. And the Texans currently have the same record as them. The Chiefs fans don't want to talk trash on that point. And then they got the Chargers. Then they got the cupcake game against the Titans right before Christmas. Then they are playing, again, the Broncos on Christmas, and then a cupcake against the Raiders. All of those games for them are losable except for 2.
And you play a short week against the Broncos.
Yeah, good luck. They're going to lose that game. 100%. Yeah. Broncos are going to be vying for a 1 seed at that point and trying to make sure they've got it on lock. So they're going to come out and just literally drop bombs on them defensively, not offensively.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But no, they're going to take an L this week. That Cowboys matchup, I don't know, man. We'll see which Cowboys team shows up that week.
We'll see what Chiefs defense shows up too. I think that's going to be the key for that one.
Fair. If Jones keeps Dak on his back the whole game, okay, then that's gettable. But if they can game plan out Jones, and depending on the health of the rest of that offensive line, Karlaftis included, we'll see, or defensive line, sorry, we'll see what happens. Want to get to the controversy of the week? Eagles-Lions. That's not pass interference. That's not pass interference. It's not freaking pass interference.
As if I couldn't hate the Eagles any more than I already do.
It's not.
They get that kind of call in prime time in a huge game where I don't think the Lions are really going to do anything when they get the ball based on how Goff was playing there. But the fact that you couldn't even get that, that game sucked. And to not even get that last little, the Lions and Dan Campbell, they're going to do something crazy because that's just what they do. And then we're robbed of that too. And it's in the Eagles' favor. It's just so terrible. I hated every second of it.
It was genuinely dumb.
I'm glad I went back to work and didn't watch this game. And watch the recap instead. I was glad.
This game, I had to go, dude, I went through all the box scores to figure this out. But this game had the most possessions of any game this week. So total possessions. I'm going to count them back one more time. So I want to make sure I got it right. But in the first quarter, it was 6 total possessions. In the second quarter, it was 8 total possessions. Then it was 5 in the third, and then 7 in the fourth. So it was 12, 26. 26 possessions for these teams. That is a lot. Because it's punt, it's 6 plays punt, 3 plays interception, 4 plays 2 yards field goal, 3 plays minus 6 yards, 4 plays 22 yards punt, 7 plays 43 yards punt. It was literally that consistently, just no time even coming off the clock. Most of these drives did not make it 2 minutes. Almost all of them didn't. When you go and break down the clock, boring as crud. But I want to address that one more time, hit the controversy button. The NFL this week clearly had a couple of points of emphasis, as Jameson likes to call it. So holding, holy cow. Chops, I watched this in the Niners-Cardinals game, 17 penalties called on the Cardinals. I will say to you very honestly, remove my bias cap for 2 minutes. 9 of those penalties were completely unnecessary. Just tic-tac trash they called on the Cardinals. I watched 2 different plays where you had tackles push down on the arms of defenders and knock them on the ground and get called for holding. 2 different times. And it's ridiculous. They're basically, when you see a lot of these holding calls, normally you're watching guys get tossed on the ground. And what I guess the point of emphasis is there have been so many injuries from linemen rolling on the ground this year. That's been more of the injury issue than is guys going down awkwardly in the middle of plays like that than it has been with just hit and contact injuries. You guys think back to things like Scatabo. You can go several major injuries. I had them all lined up in my head, and I'm blanking. But several of them were roll-up injuries, stuff that happened after the fact, all that with linemen moving. And so they're not wanting to see as much of that grab and toss. So they've been doing that emphasis. I'm like, dude, this is literally just chopping hands. This is what we teach kids to do. Basic 101 football. If he's holding you or coming into you as a defender and he's trying to push you through you, you break his arms. That's what we tell kids. Just smack down and break his arms. It's not holding. Watch pass interference get called multiple times in that game. That was not pass interference. Defensive holding downfield. That was not there, but it was clear offensive holding and pass interference were 2 points of emphasis and specific things that they were really hammering on this week. But dude, there was a call in that Dolphins Commanders game where Debo did a chair route in about 12 yards up and he just does a cut in. and they called it, I'm going to forget what Dolphins defender it was. But I watched Debo play football a lot. I saw him for, 5-6 seasons, and he's one of the most physical guys to play wide receiver maybe ever. And genuinely, he had his hands all over the guy, and the guy had his hands all over him. You just don't call it. Like, period. You just let that go. There's no way. And that put the Commanders in position to drive down the field and they end up scoring points on that drive. Watch the same thing essentially happen. You're giving the Eagles, literally gifting them. And Kelsey, after the game, saying what he said, coming in and going, we cannot have this. I'm going to remove my fan hat for a minute. That should be illegal. Refs cannot do that to the game.
I know we've talked about this so many times, but just that phrase, point of emphasis, how broken that is. As a phrase, I know there's people that want to try and defend it because teams get notified of it, but it creates inconsistency overnight. Week to week, it creates inconsistency. It gives refs too much control. Eventually, it also, like, the NFL backs off of it. So what's the point? What is a point of emphasis one season? Like, this season is all about the celebration thing, like the taunting or the unsportsmanlike conduct or however they're calling it. I don't care. It's stupid every time. When a player flexes and they're
Puka got that in the Niners game in a moment that actually hurt us quite a bit.
But, like, it's so dumb because they do that. And then, so week 1, they called the game different. By week 12, they call it something completely different. And then in the playoffs, they won't call it at all. How many times do we hear announcers go, oh, that might have got called in the regular season, but in the playoffs, they're letting them play? What?
What are we doing?
Call it the exact. Call the game as it comes your way, refs. Stop. You're creating inconsistency overnight. You're confusing fans. You're giving refs too much powers. Most of the time, it also, like, hinders defenses. Defenses get penalized for point of emphasis crap a lot of times way more than offenses do.
That's true.
Because you get stuff like the Aaron Rodgers injury, right? The broken collarbone, and now the roughing the passer thing is like the stupidest thing ever. Thanks, Aaron Rodgers. That's your legacy.
Subjective.
That is your legacy to the game, by the way. Thanks for
Yeah.
ruining it. But you're trying to fix PR problems. I'm just saying that because
you're ranting a little bit. That's fine.
But it's so dumb. Like, you're creating inconsistency overnight. There's no need to defend it and be like, teams are notified. No, it's egregious. It's stupid and needs to go. Because what you call in week 1 is different from week 12 and then in the playoffs. That's a bad product. You're not putting your best foot forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And to get into this game just a tiny bit, by the way, hear me. The Lions are not helping themselves. Dan Campbell took over play call duties for his team. And
5 times went forward on 4th down.
5 times. And one of them making no sense there in the 4th quarter. They were even fortunate to get the ball back after that. Like, you had a field goal. You had it. You needed 10 points, and you had a field goal. And all you had to do was kick the field goal and not go for it there. I'm not saying it's a sure thing, but it looked fine from in terms of distance right there. And then you go ahead and you got to get it anyway later. Like, you were going to have to get the field goal. It doesn't make any sense. But also in this game, Jared Goff, did you guys see his completion? Like, his completion percentage? Dude went 14 for 37. At 23.
And finished the game like 2 for 18 or something like that.
Yep. And all he did in this game, like, big connections. Gibbs has a 42-yarder. Williams has got a 40. Amon-Ra had a 34. That was what was getting the ball down the field. Amon-Ra in this game, by the way, fantastic job by the Eagles. 2 receptions, 12 targets. That was brutal when you just look at what they were doing. Most of the middle basically of the field was owned by the Eagles secondary and linebacking core. Just completely owned. It was either take a shot or throw it down to Gibbs. Gibbs ends up with the yardage in this one and the most catches. He has 5 catches for 107 yards. Still awesome to watch play football, by the way. Even
120 yards after the catch, by the way, apparently.
Yep. Dude was just making cuts, and that was the game plan. At some point, it was just get this guy in open space, which that's the game plan with the Lions is like everything's had been when Ben was there. I should say it's looking a lot different right now, but like their whole scheme was make everybody look this way, get this guy in the open field, and then go. And then you just let playmakers make plays. But they seem to be hurting from not having Laporta. He hit the IR last week, so he's guaranteed to miss 4. Man, they're going to need him if they want to make any kind of splash in the playoffs, because as good as this team has been, geez, their decision-making and reliance on Jared Goff to just make plays, little ill-founded, dude. You got to scheme it up better than that. And they're definitely looking like they're missing one of the pieces of that offense. Gibbs and Montgomery in this game, 18 carries. I finished for 66 yards on those 18 carries. Just not super efficient in the way that we've seen that run game either. So I hope to see better from them. We all like the Lions. We love Dan Campbell. I don't love him calling plays right now, but we love Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
We got a lot of games that I want to quick hit and talk about, but I do want to say I'll do it as we do this. So I'm going to roll through the rest of the schedule here, any of the games that we haven't highlighted, and just do a quick hitter, talk a little bit about one specific thing that stood out from that game, and we'll roll right through them. Patriots with an easy win against the Jets. My only note on that one is that next week they're going to have a different starting quarterback, and it looks like for the rest of the season. Justin Fields out until you know who gets hurt. See, the Steelers played old man football and win 34-12. Obviously, the big takeaway on this one was 2 for me. Gainwell had a heck of a game for them. Great job. He's been their second running back and had an amazing game there. But the guys that may not be playing football is the other this next week are the other thing. Jamar Chase is going to take a suspension for spitting in Jalen Ramsey's face. He can say all he wants. He didn't spit in his face. He spit in his face.
Why are you like, just own it, bro? Like, you're an adult.
Did you see his defense exactly? He was like, I wasn't trying to spit on his face. I was trying to spit on the ground. Okay.
Bro, you're a grown man. Just own
make
it.
a case in court with a certain lawyer if you really wanted
Saul
to.
Goodman's going to come knocking, yeah.
There you go. 500 plus K he will miss out on because he loses the game check there. And then Aaron Rodgers broke his left wrist. We're trying to still find out how bad that is. They're saying it could be anything from him not missing a game. They did say today that no surgery is going to be needed, but a game to a few, or not missing a game to missing a few. So I don't know. They're basically going to see how he feels over the next few days. I'm sure they got a few different game plans and ways to attack that. Aaron Rodgers does not want to miss football games. They are playing the Bears this week, and I cannot imagine the landlord wanting to miss out on this one. That dude has owned the Bears in his career, and I think he'd like to do that one last time. So we'll see what happens there, but watch if he is playing or not for sure.
These jokes write themselves, though. Old man with a wrist injury, like arthritis spiking up. Like, NFL script writers, good job there.
Good job. Jaguars beat the piss out of the Chargers. Did not see this coming at all. We didn't put this in the pick'em because I was like, oh, everybody's just going to take Chargers. Like, that's going to happen. And they're going to win. Justin Herbert, least amount of yards in his career in one single game. Yep. It was like 85 or something like
81.
that. 81. Big fan of the Justin Herbert, that offensive line. I am not a big fan of. The Jaguars play Jaguars football. When they get turnovers, they win games. That is what they do. But 35-6 in the NFL is a full-on beatdown.
And
Chargers left with a lot of questions.
Gets worse just real quick when you look at their total offensive output because Trey Lance got some play time in this game.
Yes, he did.
Between Justin Herbert and Trey Lance, they combined for 50% completion percentage, 118 passing yards. And then on the ground, Justin Herbert was their leading rusher, 3 carries for 21 yards. Their team total was 16 attempts for 42 yards. Not great.
That's bad.
Not great.
Real bad. That's super duper bad. Yikes.
I mean, and I think this game might be what keeps the Chargers out of the playoffs. If you look at teams that are like similar records, both in the AFC,
Jaguars and the Chargers clearly competing for somewhere between 6th and 8th place in the AFC right now.
That tiebreaker is going to the Jags. So
yes, it is.
And unfortunately for the Chiefs, in their situation, not to go back to them too much, but losing tiebreakers to the Chargers and to the Bills, both teams also, and to the Jaguars, all teams that are potentially scraping around that last playoff spot. That's going to be tough. So Chargers, unfortunately for Grant and I, the injuries have just caught up and they are on this.
Yeah.
Seems like they're just cratering back down to earth, but Justin Herbert's better than that. And the Jaguars defense is good.
The Jaguars defense is incredibly opportunistic. That is definitely what they are. They are takeaway reliant. Like, absolutely. They're not going to stop you in the 10-yard set with any kind of consistency. They're absolutely not. But what they do is just wreak havoc. They bring 8. Literally, I've watched them engage 8 multiple times in just wild scenarios. and they do insane stuff. But for them, it works. By the way, Josh Hines-Allen became all-time sack leader for the Jaguars in this game. Speaking of opportunities, had a tackle for loss plus a sack in this one, but they just flat out go after guys. Only 3 sacks in this game, but an extra 5 tackles at and behind the line of scrimmage for the Jaguars, as well as they're in the multi-turnover scenario again, or takeaway scenario.
And I'd love to see that pressure rate. I'm sure that pressure rate is probably pretty dang high.
It was insanely high. That was, dude, that was a floodgate that just opened up as soon as Hike was called.
We're gonna see who the Jaguars really are. I think they're a team I really still don't know about, because at first we're like, oh, maybe they're good. They beat the Chiefs, but that win against the Chiefs doesn't look that good right now.
Right.
The Chargers being as beat up as they're on the O-line, they still have to play the Colts twice and the Broncos. So against some playoff teams this season, we still have yet to see beating the Raiders and the Texans. They lost to the Rams, lost to the Seahawks, but in their own conference, we'll really get to see who they are. They still got 3 pretty big ones coming up for them.
Massive game for one individual this week in the Bills-Bucks game. 44-32. Bills get the win. Josh Allen with 6 touchdowns, was a fantasy monster. Thank you very much for that win against Grant this week. I did appreciate that a lot. Got the A-League win because of Josh Allen, 100%.
Dude, I had J.J. McCarthy running out for me, dude. The complete opposites, like 6 points, 42 points, baby. Yeah,
dude,
that was brutal.
Hey, don't think I wasn't
9
sweating.
right there, baby. That's 9.
I needed a whopping like 2.5 points from Ginty. And by halftime, I was sitting on the line there, waiting for it. I was definitely paying attention last night, watching that box score the entire time. But Josh Allen had a genuine career game, 3 rushing, 3 passing. That Buccaneers defense has a lot of questions to answer. We love Baker. He is great for TV, great for football, but he cannot do it by himself. That is, I believe, is that his second or third 30-plus point loss of the season? I think it's his second one. My bad. 30-point, where he's put up 30 points, and his team has lost this year. Mm-hmm. The only team that's done that more is the Bengals.
Not good company, my friends.
It is not good company at all. I hate the Bears. I want to talk about that for 2 seconds. Still hate the Bears. 7-3, top of the NFC North. Here's why I hate the Bears. It's not because of just Caleb Williams. Don't like their schedule at all. If you want to talk about a team that has made the most of their opportunities so far, okay? This team started out 0-2, then caught the Cowboys in week 3 with their horrible defense, 31-14. They beat the Raiders 25-24. And the Commanders 25-24. Then they got to play the Saints the week after those games, 26-14. They played 4 of the worst defenses in the league, bottom 6 in all categories in a row. Then they get beat by the Ravens, come back and play another horrible defense, and the Bengals beat them 47-42. Then get the Giants the next week, 24-20. Then they beat the Vikings 19-17 on that last second field. I'm sorry. Oh, man, last second field goal this week. Where's the good win? What's the good win?
Dude, I'm looking at their schedule right now. Holy cow, dude. That's a gauntlet of defense. Maybe not overall teams, but of defenses.
Tell them what they're going to face, Grant. Go for it.
They got the Steelers, who that secondary is terrible, but they can still get after the quarterback. Steelers, then the Eagles, then the Packers, then the Browns, then the Packers again, then the 49ers, who will definitely be vying for a playoff spot and fighting right there, and then the Lions to end the season.
Guess how many of those games I think they're going to win?
Maybe 1. Maybe the Browns 1.
Maybe 2. Like, maybe. They could get a surprise game. Don't get me wrong.
They have to play
Honestly,
the
I think they
twice.
split with the Packers.
Yeah, Packers are proven.
Packers
they can't
offense
win.
is a little lackluster, to be honest.
And then maybe
Their
the Browns.
offense? You can fight me on
Packers offense?
Oh, you said Sorry, dude.
Yeah,
Yes,
the Packers offense is lackluster.
I thought you
right
said the Niners. I genuinely did. I was like,
no.
the Niners off? No, the Niners defense is not
The
great.
Niners defense is lackluster.
Yes, that is fair.
But
they are the definition of mid right now.
But the Browns, I mean, that defense is awesome. It's
But
just
that's the gettable one because their offense sucks so bad.
But
The Browns are gettable because their offense sucks so bad. And that's the type of game they've been winning.
I think it will matter this week, and that's in our pick'em, is does Aaron Rodgers play against the Steelers?
It absolutely matters.
Because if he's not even an injured Rodgers, I would take to beat the Bears right now.
Yeah.
But a Steelers led by Mason Rudolph.
I don't want to see the reindeer out on the field this week, dude. No, I don't even want to see that. Okay,
that's garbage. Like
no.
they'll win. They'd win that game.
I don't think they will because the amount of possessions that the Steelers would have to incur to win that game to get the offensive production.
Yeah,
that guy gets you field goals, not touchdowns. That is absolutely accurate. You're going to need your defense to make some crazy plays to take down the entirety of that Bears offense. I don't hate the Bears offense. I just am looking at them going, they haven't played anybody. They don't have a good win. Not one. Of all those teams that I just named, okay, of all the teams, can you tell me which one has a above 500 record? None of them. They haven't beat a team with a +5. They haven't beat one. The Ravens just got to 500. And they lost to them. So legitimately, they just haven't played anybody. This team stinks. And dude, it's very possible they're 9-8, like something ridiculous like that. This is gonna be rough. Prepare yourselves, Bears fans. The gauntlet is coming. I was looking through that last week, and I was like, man, I'm going to save that for another conversation later. But what almost happened was they made themselves look bad against the Vikings this week. And if the wind was just blowing slightly harder, we are having a completely different conversation and kind of laughing at them at the moment. I touched on the Texans-Titans game as much as I want to because that's not what we're talking about. CJ Stroud, by the way, is getting healthy. Hopefully see him back out on the field here real soon for the Texans. Would love that. Love to see them try and make the effort for a playoff push. That's a fun team to watch when they are healthy. Panthers getting that win against the Falcons. Bryce Young, good for him, bro. Shut up. Everybody shut.
Big week for me as a Rams fan here. Beating the Seahawks, not only an opponent that is a rival of ours, but to claim first place in the NFC West, and the Falcons, another loss. Unfortunately, Michael Penix out for the season, but guess who has their first round draft pick in 2026?
Dust Rams.
Dude.
That's right, baby. I think that trade is aging even more beautifully than it did on draft night.
I don't know who the Falcons GM is because I just don't care about the Falcons. He needs to get fired. Bad decisions after bad decisions. They spent $180 million or whatever on Kirk Cousins to not be in quarterback hell. And here they are with an injured Michael Penix for the season, running out Kirk Cousins yet again, and they will still be in quarterback hell because they don't really still know what Michael Penix is. And by the way, gave up their first round pick for a mid pass rusher after they just drafted.
The pass rusher's been decent. The pass rusher's been decent. Not worth what they gave up.
Not worth exactly. No. So not worth what he gave up when they drafted a pass rusher earlier in that said draft round. Like, just terrible. You don't give up teams don't give up first for unknowns. You just don't. You go and give up a first round pick.
Sure thing.
Like, it's the most obvious. Yep. Give it up for the Micah Parsons or whatever. You don't give it up for some college guy you don't know is going to translate. So bad. Falcons GM needs to get fired.
It literally is like the dumbest thing happening when you look at how teams are managing themselves right now. Like, I really do. I believe that, other than the Bengals hanging on to Trey Hendrickson this year, which makes absolutely no sense at all. Those are the two dumbest things going on. But this one in particular, we all sat there and scratched our heads and went, what, for a while. My jaw was on the ground for so long after that happened. But I also got to include this unfortunate stat in the overall synopsis of the situation. Michael Penix is 25 years old. He's got 3 ACL tears. This is the 5th time in the last 8 seasons of football, including college, for this guy, that he has left the field for the last time that season with a knee injury. Bro, that's just brutal. And we're not haters. Grant has said many times, dude threw the prettiest ball he had ever seen in his life at the college level, especially.
Yeah, dude. I thought
it was crazy.
I thought he was the best thrower of the football out of all those guys in that draft.
Yep.
Just, yeah, that sucks, dude.
It absolutely does suck, and I hated that. Hated seeing that's how his season is going to end yet again. But Bryce Young on the other side of that field, good for you, dude. Absolutely good for you. What they're doing over in Carolina, finally finding a young coaching staff that works with these players and that there is some cohesion amongst the front office and the coaching staff and getting it done. Going hot hand with Dowdle and just being willing to roll with that when you had another starting running back already who just struggled off and on with a little bit of an injury but had already proven himself. Like their willingness to go hot hand and then let Young cook, good for them, man.
And Ted McMillan paying off for them as well in
Yep.
some pretty serious ways. 2 touchdowns, 100+ yards the other day.
Yep.
Great game. Yeah,
Yeah,
130 yards on 8 catches, 2 tuds.
He's getting his in chunks, as rookies tend to do. That's a thing. Like playing with Luka's consistency out of the gate is not normal for wide receivers. But for him to get that looked great this week. And I'm super happy for Bryce Young. I could not be happier for that guy because I think that dude has just been thrown to the wolves quite literally since the moment that he got drafted. And it was like, I guess we'll just see this guy playing for the Jets in a couple years. Like that was the insta take. So good for him. The Packers made us a little bit sad on Sunday. Quick hitter on this one. Jameis Winston didn't get a dub. That's all that matters here, okay? That's really all that matters.
Dude, it ended in the most Jameis Winston way, dude. Slung it around the field, looking good, leading them down the field for a game-winning drive, and just does the most Jameis Winston thing with just a bad pick. The guy was open.
Yeah.
The guy was if he was 30% more accurate, wide receiver would have caught it, would have been a touchdown. But that was
But dude, he gave us what we wanted. He was not boring.
No.
He was not boring. And
Never.
by the way, I just want to say this for, I don't know, really, I guess the reason. But that dude's an underrated dancer. That end zone dance is hilarious.
Bro,
Like,
him
oh my
dancing
gosh.
when he tore his ACL in the locker room, is that him throwing his crutches up? Like that's an iconic Jameis Winston moment.
Yep.
Dude, underrated dancer for sure. Jacobs, by the way, goes down in that one. Still don't know where he's at. They have not made any announcements as to what's going to happen with him. That they're going to keep that under wraps till probably tomorrow. I imagine that's going to come out on Wednesday. What's going on with Jacobs? Then I also grant, don't worry, you cannot get his backup in the A-League. I already checked. I own that one.
That's fine.
So it's fine.
I got something.
We touched extensively on the Seahawks Rams today. Real quick, Brock Purdy comes back for the 49ers. Niners get the win 41-22 over the terrible Arizona Cardinals. This game was fun for me to watch because vintage Brock comes out. 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. CMC has a CMC day. This stuck out to me. I've been waiting to talk about it. Mac Jones had not and there was no controversy here. There was no controversy. The whole time, Shanahan Lynch saying the same thing. Listen, when Brock's playing football, it's Brock's team. Everybody in the locker room saying it the whole time. Mac did a phenomenal job. Like, genuinely, as a 49er fan, thank you for saving our season. We owe him so much. And he's under team control for next year, by the way. I mean, I'll get to my quick point on that here in just a moment. But Mac Jones has been awesome. But the dude had not gotten more than 22 yards out of a single pass the entire time. Even with those 300-plus yard games, 22
Dinks and dunks,
yards.
mid-range, yeah.
Yep, just getting it done. A lot of 15-yarders. So we weren't really noticing that those big plays weren't coming. I noticed at times, but it really wasn't registering because he did those things with consistency, hitting that 15-ish yarder, really consistent the way the route trees work for the 49ers and a lot of the way that this offense
Jimmy G
schemes.
special.
Yep, just getting it done. Brock comes back and in 5 plays throws a 30-yard touchdown pass to George Kittle. In 5 plays. That is the difference between a really good backup, genuinely great one, and a starting quarterback in the NFL that has clearly done a lot in his young career. That is the difference between an all-pro and a really good backup. I genuinely loved watching him play in this game. I mentioned already the 17 penalties for the Cardinals and the unnecessary amount of them. In watching this game, it was just really interesting on a couple levels. Like, we were talking about Bourne a lot and his production with Mac Jones. Bro barely saw the field in this game, did not have a catch. Brock Purdy comes back. George Kittle, 3rd and Juwan. CMC, Juszczyk gets a couple of catches. Demarcus Robinson catches one of the only balls he's gotten this season. Pearsall, by the way, back on the field, did not get a catch or actually had 1 catch for 0 yards on a tip pass at the line. I came back and got it. But it was just funny to watch how this instantly became Brock's receiving core again, too. The Niners also with 3 takeaways in this game. Niners have sucked at getting interceptions, had 2 in this one. And then if you guys didn't see that replay on the fumble at the line, I'm going to forget the backup tight end name from Arizona. He's running up to the plane. Literally, ball is an inch from the plane, and 2 defenders collide in on him. Keon White ends up diving on the ball, gets a fumble at the line. This game easily could have been a 2-score finish for the Cardinals had that not happened. Niners allowed Jacoby Brissett to get 47 completions in this game because that was the softest zone you have ever seen a team play. With the amount of injuries that defense has incurred, it was literally like Robert Saleh just said, I don't care. I need them next week. So we're just going to let you have all the 5 to 8 yarders you want.
By the way, the NFL record for completions in a game.
Yep.
Jacoby Brissett. And
it's not attempts.
It happened in the game in which the team
garbage
scored
time legend.
22 points. And he sets the record for completions in the game, and they only get 22 points. That's hilarious.
82% completion percentage. He's just, and these like just under 8 average. He's just like anything underneath. Yeah, it was hilarious. It was
the math
hilarious.
does
I
not
looked at the
math.
box score after this game, after the Rams, obviously, because I was focused on that. And I was like, Jacoby Brissett threw 450 yards, 47 completions, and they lost badly.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
They lost
Sounds about right.
badly. The 49ers also took 2 kicks back for 140 total yards. For opening kickoff went 98 yards with Sky Moore. Barely gets caught as he's about to dive into
Okay, I was wondering what that was because I don't know if you guys get those really annoying like NFL app.
No, I unsubscribed from all of them so I don't get hosed while watching games.
They do this really annoying thing where they'll word it in a way to get you to click on it. So they'll be like, a 98-yard non-scoring play just occurred. Click here to see what it was. And I was like, I'm not doing that. So that's what it was. Okay.
It's not a scoring play, so why do I care?
Yeah, that's what it was. It was, so as you guys know, I use certain services in which to watch all of my football games that I will not mention on the airwaves so the government doesn't take them away from me.
R.I.P. Stream East. R.I.P.
But I legit couldn't get the stupid thing to open, and I'm sitting there clicking, and I'm getting mad at my phone, and then all of a sudden, like, it comes up, and we're up 7-0 and kicking the ball off, and I'm like, there's 15 seconds off the clock. Like, I had no idea what happened, and I didn't want to go check the box score. I was waiting for the replay, and it took them like 10 live minutes to show the replay of the kickoff, so I had no clue what had happened for a little bit. It was funny. But no, I was just going to say, I also noticed this is not a game discussion, but I was just thinking through a couple things in regards to some of this kind of came up in discussing Brock coming back this week for the Niners. Brock is the only quarterback from the 2022 draft class that is starting in 2025.
Who are some of those quarterbacks?
Kenny Pickett, Desmond Ridder, Malik Willis, Matt Corral, Bailey Zapp, Sam Howell, which is the best name that I've said so far. Chris can't pronounce his last name. I think it's Oladikan.
Sure.
Can't remember. Skylar Thompson.
You got to earn the right for me to pronounce your name correctly in this league.
Yeah, that was a 7th rounder too. Skylar Thompson. All of those individuals were taken before Brock Purdy, of course, Mr. Irrelevant, by the 49ers. That is the worst draft class of quarterbacks maybe ever. Depending on what happens with Brock's career, maybe he'll just
but even just one guy,
for all of them.
Yeah, even if he ends up being like great, whatever, that's still terrible because that's one quarterback that's good out of all of that.
Yeah,
that's still terrible.
That's still crazy. And then my last quick take, and we'll move on to the last little bit here before we get to pick them. I gotta say is I heard this point this week going back to the Mac Jones thing. There's a lot of teams already, a lot of people saying that other teams should be trading for Mac Jones leading up to the draft. And teams should probably, if you're looking at what the compensation level should be right now, teams should probably be thinking about a 2nd rounder to go get Mac Jones from the Niners after what he just did. If you're the 49ers, don't do it. That dude just kept you in playoff contention by himself. There's not another position that impacts sports the way that position impacts sports. If you're the 49ers, You hold Mac Jones in that locker room and pay him only $5 million next year at all costs. At all costs. Because when we talk about what we're spending on wins, that guy can literally get you there at a very minimal rate. It's ridiculous to think that you would let him out of that locker room after what he just did for your team. 7-4, and 2 of those are on Brock. He's 1-1 in those games, but 6-3 is what he just carried you to, bro. That's worth it all day long. I wouldn't give up a second-round pick for next year at all. I want him in the locker room and getting it done for us should something happen to Brock.
I'm pretty sure on this show we've had the backup quarterback rant before where we're like, I don't understand what the deal is with some of these teams, like having a guy that you can trust to go in there and keep the thing going is just
so important.
Absolutely. It's almost invaluable at that point.
Yeah.
Because again, like for you, Matt, as a fan of the Niners this year, it's okay, Brock, like with the onslaught of injuries, like I would have thought it would have been pretty impressive for you guys to be 4-7 if you flipped your record around and you're 7-4 because you had a guy who could come in and win 2 games for every game he loses.
Yeah.
And now you're here. You're still the 7th seed, and now you're getting guys back. So it says a lot about having good backup play because, again, we've looked at all these other teams that have fallen apart when their guy goes out of the game and you basically tank a whole season. The Bengals have more than one reason for their season being the way that it is. But if they immediately had a guy that they could have inserted for Joe Burrow, who knows? Maybe that things look a little bit different if their defense was better. But it's insanely valuable.
When you consider the expense of the quarterback position all around the NFL, and you looked at teams are basically like, hey, we're good with spending $50 to $55 million on a good quarterback, and the Niners' entire quarterback room is costing 55. It looks really good on paper. The expense of the quarterback room itself looks really good on paper with the amount of production that they're getting, and that can't be overlooked either. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you paid Brock, but also you don't have massive cap hit with him this year at all. The way that they angled that contract, it's not even that bad next year, and you keep Mac there for $5 million. Like, it's pretty brilliant how they've been structuring themselves, and I'm just super pro Mac Jones being a 49er for as long as humanly possible. Well, that was awesome.
Especially when you're a team that has playoff aspirations.
Yeah.
And realistically, teams know where they're at. The Jets knew where they were at. The Dolphins know where they're at. But for teams that have hopes to win their division, go to the playoffs, invest it, having Mac Jones for $5 million is a freaking bargain. Like that is Walmart great value as it gets. Mm-hmm. Like a good quarterback, a good backup should cost you double that. You should be paying 10 to 13 for a
Andy
good
Dalton
backup.
Money. Yep. Yeah, Andy Dalton, Carson Wentz. That's what they are. $10 million a year.
Yeah. So
Joe Flacco.
When you're a team that knows what they are realistically and know what their aspirations are come January, come February, spend the $10 million, spend the $12 million, get yourself the 34th, 35th best quarterback in the league, and roll with that just for the in case, even if it's for 3 games or 2. Got to do it.
The last game this week before we do pick 'em was the fun adventure that is always the Cleveland Browns losing just barely to the Ravens. Lamar did not have a great game. That terrifying human being that plays football in Cleveland named Myles Garrett just about ended his life a few times. He had 4 sacks this week. Bro has, in his first 7 games, Myles Garrett had 5 sacks. In his last 3 games, he has 10. 10.
And his last
15
on pace,
sacks on the season.
He's on pace for 25 or something sacks.
Yeah, he's going to obliterate the sack record at this point. And if you look at who he's going to be chasing down for the next several weeks, it actually looks very doable. Like, you get into the numbers on this. I'm just going to bring up the full schedule here so I say it all correctly, but it looks real nice. Why is my stuff not coming up right away? Sorry. I had that ready to go, and then I went over to make sure I hit all those numbers.
Dude, I'm honestly so heartbroken he decided to take that money and stay.
We know.
Yeah.
That's why you got
No, I don't have sympathy for him. That was what I was saying, but I'm genuinely sad. Because I'm like, bro, even I hate the Cowboys, but if he was on the Cowboys, he would be like getting the recognition.
It's just as a fan, like we're being robbed of like a
Yes.
guy who's supposed to have. Aaron Donald had his postseason moments.
Yeah.
Like he should be having his equivalent of that, but obviously chose the money, which I'm not going to say don't take the money because that's why you're here at the end of the day, but you would have gotten paid plenty and would have been able to contribute in pretty significant ways on a winning team.
Yeah.
He is playing Geno this next week.
Oh, dear Lord.
That's
has
at least
Geno this
3
next
sacks.
week.
At least 3 sacks.
Then he's playing the 49ers and Brock. I would not be shocked if he gets one.
That should have been a pick 'em. We should have said how many Myles Garrett sacks versus Geno Smith this week.
Dude, over
That
under
is
2.5.
a terrible idea.
Over under
That's
2.5.
not. But maybe we could save it for this one. He has the Titans after the 49ers. Then he has the Bears, which that's a good offensive line, and the Bills. But then he gets the tree trunks that are Aaron Rodgers' legs because they're attached to the ground.
Yep.
And he closes the season with Joe Flacco or whoever they decide to roll out there in week 18 because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But legitimately, the Titans, the Bengals, the Steelers, and the Raiders, I think he's going to obliterate the sack record. I think we're going to see it. It happens. I think we're sitting at 24. If I gave you that as the number, would you go over or under 24 right now based on the production of Myles Garrett this season? Because we can't ignore the insanity of what this guy's doing.
I would probably take the over, and honestly, just because of like the Titans and Raiders alone makes me think he'll go over. Just those two alone. Like he's probably hitting 3+ in both of those.
He could easily have 20 after those two games.
Yeah.
Like
absolutely.
He could easily have 20. And people are like, oh, that's ridiculous. Dude, he's had 5 and 4 in 2 different games.
So,
he got Lamar 4 times. Lamar.
Dude, in his in his last 4 games, like he has 15 on the year. In his last 4 games, he would be 3rd in sack leaders over his last 4 games at 11.
It's crazy what he is doing right now. I love watching him play football. Now, it's going to be absolutely electric watching him play against Geno. By the way, we're not talking about it for any reason because the Cowboys suck. They're not good. But dear Lord, Chip Kelly is the worst play caller in the NFL right now.
He's the only reason that maybe Pete Carroll is back another year because they recognize how terrible Chip Kelly is. But also, Pete Carroll's the guy who hired Chip Kelly. And there's all the rumors about it being one and done. But like that may be the only saving grace is Al Davis goes, you got to fire Chip Kelly if you want to stay.
Wrong Davis.
Or Mark Davis, whatever.
He's not doing that from the grave.
Yeah, whatever.
But no, and if he did, I'd be really... Anyway. But no, I agree. Like that's why Pete gets to stay in the scenario. But also too, like you went and hired Geno and brought him in. Yeah, that's Pete's guy and everything, but you gave him that stupid offense where Geno has to think so much after he hikes the ball. Watch where those offensive linemen go when he says snap.
So bad.
Dude, when he pulls back, legitimately, I'm watching this play. They did it like some variation. You know how every team puts that ripple in for the week? Like yesterday for my Niners, it was Juszczyk was running in motion constantly at the fullback position. And they did these kind of weird angled turns for Juszczyk into the line, create gaps for CMC. And but for the Raiders, it was 2 or 3 linemen constantly going up to the wide side of the field, and these like what appeared to be screenplays that go either happen or go as fakes. And then Geno would have to come around to the other side and hope to God that he wasn't going to get murdered and or that there was some separation for Trey Tucker or Mayer. It was a lot on the bottom end of the screen for some reason. But, dude, when I did not understand the ripple because when he was just taking 3 steps and looking, dude, Bowers all day, like, was open multiple times early in the game. They got shut down on a drive because of a bad penalty on one of the offensive linemen, pulled him back to like 2nd and 15 or whatever. But up until then, had completed, I think it was all 4 straight passes. Genty had a nice run. Like they were just, the scripted plays were really solid. And then he goes to these stupid ripples and then gets stuck in pass play selection. It was 12-3 in their first 15 plays. First 15 plays in the NFL are scripted for every offense. They run that through. That is a normal thing that you do to get a rhythm going for your offense, and then you make adjustments from there. Unless you get a major injury within those first 15 plays to one of your key guys, either your quarterback, your running back. But 15 plays, and he went 12 pass, 3 rush. And I get that that's the Cowboys' secondary, and I get that they suck. But no, you should be running the ball. And Ginty, dude, he's not a Lamborghini yet, but that guy is a low-end sports car right now. And, dude, you got to let him cook.
Yeah.
That makes no sense. That was terrible, though. That game's trash. Raiders are trash. But most importantly, Chip Kelly's trash. And the Cowboys are trash. Oh, by the way, what's his name? Is it Overshawn? The dude that got that knee injury last year? Remember, he got all those sacks like early on that goes out with the ACL or whatever it was. But he was playing great. He came back last night.
DeMarvion Overshawn?
Yeah.
Okay.
He had the story last year.
That's right.
He just looked real good and then had that ugly injury. And as much as I'm a Cowboy hater, I remember we talked about it on the show, just how brutal that was because he had been playing so well. And no, he came back last night, and I think I saw 10 plays. He just had 1 tackle. It wasn't anything crazy. They got a lot going on with the hardware on his knee, but good for him, man. Like, the Cowboys are going through it, obviously, losing a player the way that they did, and not to be all sad and negative on the show, but that was an awful tragedy. Really cool to see a guy come back on the field and give some hope in what's been a rough couple weeks for that team. But we got to get to pick them before we get out of here tonight. We've got a few good matchups this week, mostly of the dumpster variety, but they're very even, I will say. So we got 4 good ones, and then we're going to do total points because the Rams are playing the Bucks in what could turn out to be a crazy shootout. So we'll get to that one in a moment. But we're starting with the Steelers at Chicago, playing the Bears. And if the landlord is playing, we're going to keep this game in here. If not, we should do the Myles Garrett over/under on total sacks this next week. But the Steelers or the Bears, we're gonna guess as if Rodgers is playing and is whole enough to throw that ball. The Steelers or the Bears, I'm taking the first. I hate the Bears so much. They played nobody, and because of that, I am taking the Steelers. They played nobody. Literally no one. And their only losses are to plus 500 teams, and I think is going to happen in this game if Rodgers is playing. So, real easy synopsis for me.
Yeah. No. I want to know, he's probably played the Bears more than like any other team that's facing like an opponent this week. That's got to be like,
for sure.
It's got to be him. I know he's never, this is a different Bears team. They are a better Bears team, a better coached Bears team. But yeah, tell me a good Bears win, like you said, Matt. And if Rodgers is playing, I'm going to take him one last time to own the Bears. James?
I'm zagging. I'm taking the Bears for the 2nd week in a row.
All right.
And honestly, that is with or without Aaron Rodgers. I would have taken that either way. And I guess do we want to do a sack number just in case you guys want to wuss out on this? And
okay.
First of all, Aaron Rodgers has played the Bears 30 times.
That's a lot.
29 in the regular season and 1 time in the playoffs.
So that Jay Cutler, like 2011 team or whatever.
Yeah. What do you guys think the record is for Rodgers against the Bears?
You said they played 30 times?
They played 30 times.
It's probably like 23-7.
I'm going to go 25-5.
Grant got it.
Dang.
Let's go.
Bro, when we call the man the landlord, there is a reason. And while I don't like the Steelers at all as a postseason team, dude, that right there should change your mind. It should change your mind. If Aaron Rodgers is playing, I don't even understand. This is a real thing in the NFL.
And the dude's
What
petty.
are you doing to yourself, James?
Like, Aaron Rodgers
He's not going to be 100% healthy, and he's 41 years old.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That right hand, that righteous right hand is still up there. All he has to do is just get it back and get it forward. That's all he's got to do. It's the left hand that's the problem. He doesn't use this thing. This is useless. He might as well just cut it off.
I'm going to say
like hold the
DeAndre
ball
Swift,
with him when it's
120 all-purpose, 2 tuds, and a Bears win.
All right. Sticking to your
120
guns.
and 2 touchdowns. I can't wait to come on here next week. It's going to be fun. Jameson's going to have to eat crow again. We'll get Mike's picks added in. By the way, Mike is one ahead of me right now. He's 37 and 18. I am 36 and 19. Jameson right there at 35 and 20. Grant is at the bottom, 32 and, 23. It's not that bad. You're not that bad. You're only 5 off of Mike. I was 4 off of Mike at one point. So
yeah,
Mike is annoyingly still ahead of us, and we have to figure out a scheme where we beat him. But going on the reverse order, Falcons, Saints, I already know Jameson's answer. He's not going to go against it. Kirk Cousins, Michael Penix. Dude, you could throw Adrian Gonzalez out there. It does not matter. He's not picking the Saints.
No, I'm picking the Saints.
Oh, my God.
You are.
That is the most rage-baiting answer. Are you serious?
I am 100% serious. I'm picking the Saints in this one.
This year? Okay.
I don't know.
You don't know what you're talking about, Matt. Yeah, you're done.
Saints off of a bye, not that means much, but like
that sentence.
it doesn't.
That means anything. Saints off a bye.
It doesn't mean anything, but also you're telling me that Kirk Cousins is going to go win a football game. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll believe it when I see Drake London.
I don't know. He's making $50 million this year. I think he could give him one.
No Drake London this week either on a concussion.
Is he out?
I think he's doubtful.
For me.
And also, obviously, like I'm also going to pick, as much as I hate the Saints,
you want them to, because that pick, you want that higher Falcons pick.
There's no like old Saints concern of how they're just annoying to play. And so I also hate them for that reason. Now it's okay. I think the Falcons are bad, and I need them to lose as much as possible. And if they can lose the game to New Orleans and New Orleans wins like another game or two, and maybe there's a tiebreaker situation there where now I have an even better pick because obviously New Orleans would have a better pick right now. I'm just saying that's what I'm rooting for. So that's what I'm going to pick. And I think it's realistic given the Falcons' circumstances.
I hate the words coming out of your mouth. I don't know this person. I've spent, what are we on our 5th season?
Winning changes a man.
That's a great question. I don't know.
Is this our 5th season on the podcast?
I should go back.
This guy has done nothing but slam one team in the NFL for the last 5 years. He hates the Saints.
Hey, Tyler Shuck's going to throw for 180 yards and they're going to win that game.
And probably like 80 of it will be on some like screen pass to Kamara. He's just going to take off.
Yeah, it's Kirk Cousins. Dude needs to like WD-40 his joints at this point.
Okay, but I would probably trust Kirk Cousins in one game over Tyler Shuck. Like, to be like for real here.
But without Drake London because he is out with a sprained PCL. Make up your mind, Grant. Give me an answer. You're 32 and 23. Choose wisely.
I think I gotta go Falcons here. As bad as the Falcons are, they do have some better pieces. Like they got better pieces
for sure.
Like across the board. I don't know one unit that I would take the Saints over the Falcons. Like you might argue wide receiver this week because Drake London's out.
Home game in the dome.
I wouldn't. Remember, they just gave you Shaheed.
Oh yeah, it's just They
don't have a 2.
I'm just saying, like Chris Olave is probably better than what they got right now if Drake London's out. But yeah, okay. I gotta go Falcons here.
Yeah, they're probably gonna win. I'm actually looking at their stats. They are second in sacks. Going back to our talk about their edge rushers this year, Falcons are. But
yeah,
they spread it out though. They do spread it out. I will say that they don't have that dominant.
The 27th and 30th teams in points per game. By the way, in this one, it's going to be an absolute slobber knocker of a football game.
That is a great word. 27th is definitely the Falcons because they have a guy whose name we have not said, and he is the reason that they're going to win this game. Bijan Robinson is going to be the best player on that field, and they're going to feed him the ball 27 times, and he's going to have 148 yards and 2 tutties. And he's going to win that game.
Bijan owners, rise up. Let's go.
Let's go. Because the Saints are terrible. And
they both suck.
They both suck, but the Saints are terrible.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep it going. We've got Rams versus Bucks total points. The over-under is 49.5.
Okay,
that's low.
Okay, this is hot garbage, Matt. Because when we're picking the Seahawks, it's who wins or loses, and I've gotten hosed every time. But now when we're picking the Rams, we're not picking winner or loser. We're picking.
I've paid my dues. This is like the 5th pick 'em already. that the Rams have been in this year. And the first two that they were in, they lost to the Eagles and the Niners. So I don't want to hear it.
That picking the points in this game is harder than picking.
Yeah,
win.
yes.
I think the Rams win this game.
Yes, I think probably most pick the Rams. Yeah.
That's the thing is, can the Rams hold the Bucks from 4 scores?
Yeah.
I'm
That
going
Rams
touchdowns.
defense. I mean,
The
that
Rams
Rams
defense
defense
is allowing 17 points a game right now. It's the second best in the league.
And I
Hey,
think
they're not playing Baker though.
They played Seattle, only allowed 19.
Hey, 49ers only allowed 13 against Seattle. So
There you go.
okay, that was week 1. Get out of here. We haven't played that bad since then at all. Anyway,
I don't know.
Except
Whatever.
for 2 days ago.
still not 13-point bad. Okay,
Put salt
Shut up.
in the wound and then put
Shut
your
up.
finger on it. And
we're
press
gonna win the
down.
division, and I'll have less off.
Hey, listen, we need to be. Never mind. I almost said we need to be nice to Grant. That would be a terrible idea. All right, 49.5 over under. I'm going to take the slightly over. Slightly. I don't feel good about it. I'm going to take slightly over. That's a lot of points. 50 is a lot in a game in the NFL to just pick them like this on it. Because really, you're saying 26-24 or 27-24. Like you're saying it's going to be at least that. Don't love it. So it's
Okay,
going to
so
be a
you're
good
going-
game,
so
though.
you're-
By the
so
way,
you're-
I'm taking the Rams, but it's going to be a good game.
So you're taking the under, Matt?
No, I'm taking the over, barely.
Sorry. So barely the over.
Just terrified about it.
I don't feel like it's that crazy because I could like both these offenses can score points and will score points, and this Bucks defense is just depleted of injuries. This whole team is depleted of injuries. So the Rams are absolutely, I feel like, going to move the ball up and down the field.
Yeah, Bucks right now are allowing on average 25 points a game, which is actually tied with the New Orleans Saints for what it's worth.
Yeah, Bucks defense has not been great.
Yeah. And if you think that the Rams can at least hit that average, I think the Rams are probably going to score 30 personally. So then you have to think, can the Bucks get to at least like 20?
I think all that's doable. I think the Rams can hit high 20s and the Bucks can hit mid 20s, mid to low 20s. I'm gonna take the over. I'm taking the over.
Hey, Grant,
Yeah.
what's the most points that you think a team has scored against the Rams this year?
Is it my team?
No, because that would give you the answer, genius.
Because they're averaging like 17. Aren't the Rams averaging like 17? And we scored 19.
Yeah.
Is it the 49ers score 20 mid low 20s on them?
So the 49ers scored 26, and that is the second most.
To the Eagles.
It was the Eagles at
The
33.
The blocked field goal return for a
Yep.
touchdown.
That game was that game was 20. Was it 26-26 at that point? Or no, that was 27-26. And then and then it goes back.
Yeah. So really, we still only allowed 26 points per game, or 26 points in that game.
Because it was the special teams, not
It was
the
special
they
teams.
just-
So,
they
but I
just
mean, if
housed
you
it
look at it,
afterwards,
like the
but-
Niners are the only ones to hit that mid 20s, other than the Eagles, and that was a huge special teams game. So the
and it went into
offenses-
overtime still as well.
Yeah, they have left. I believe it is. I think it's league high. 4 teams with 10 or less points. Now, granted, that was the Rams or the Saints.
Jags are in there.
Ravens with no Lamar, and the Texans at the first week of the year, and then the other one was the Saints there. Did I say that one already? Oh, Jaguars.
Jags.
Sorry, Jaguars. That's
Jags.
that's a good one if you can keep that offense at bay. But yeah, so that's why that's a hard number for me. That to say that they're going to score 50, that's rough.
And,
You're right,
and
dude.
I
That's
think
good
that's
deep.
why I am going to just barely shade the under here.
I get it.
And that's not me trying to be, this is different week here, because I would like to take that over and maybe not lose all of these against you guys, because I don't feel 100% confident in how these picks are going. But I do think this is more to do with the Rams won't be able to score a majority of those points, even if I think they'll score 28, 30 points. I don't know. Bucks maybe score a couple tuds. I just don't know if it's enough to get there.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Browns Raiders, the dumbest game of the week.
Ugh.
Browns Raiders. We're starting with Jameson. Please let's just not even do analysis on this game because it's not worth it. Okay,
Yeah.
it's not worth it. But also, let's go ahead and pick the sacks while we're here.
So should the
Over
line
under.
be Should the line be 2.5?
I think the line has to be 2. Is he going to get 1.5 or 2.5? That's what you got to decide.
Another interesting matchup is who has more sacks, which I think we would probably all pick the same guy. But Max Crosby sacking Shedeur Sanders or Myles Garrett sacking Geno Smith.
Well,
Shedeur's starting this week.
By the way, Shedeur has the worst QBR in the history of the NFL.
Whatever his whole thing is, right? Isn't that his whole thing, the whole Shedeur time thing?
Yeah.
Yep. It is. It's literally, he has the worst QBR of any quarterback that has ever played in a single game in the NFL.
Right.
Because he looked like trash. I don't care what anybody
That one, I don't expect him to be very good on Sunday, but I don't blame him for that one too much to have your first action going in when you're not really getting any reps throughout the week with the ones anyways to step in. Now you still got to do better, but
historically bad.
Yeah.
Like the worst of all time. I love that people are coming out and rushing out to defend him. He's never played with the ones, which, by the way, is retarded. I do not understand why coaches do that at all. Give them 0 reps? That's wild. Even
that's your backup quarterback
preseason?
right now. He has to do something.
That's my quarterback.
That's my quarterback. No, but Stefanski was like defending that position. I was like, dude, you should probably give him some
You're
runs
in
with the
charge
ones. Like,
of that.
why don't you just give him like 5 plays a week? So he's got something.
And because
like,
respectfully, your starter is still Dylan Gabriel. It's not you have Joe Burrow or one of those guys as your starting quarterbacks where you're like, okay, this is the guy, so we're going to run everything through him.
And somebody was like, well, practices are only allowed to be so long. And I go, then just run your double time reps like you do in the preseason. Do it at double time and get the reps going faster for 20 minutes of practice. And then everybody gets at least 5. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. FLPA doesn't give us enough. It's ridiculous. All right. Let's pick this dumb game, though. Browns, Raiders, you have to pick first, Jameson.
Are we picking the sacks or just the winner?
Pick the winner. We'll come
Browns.
back. How many over under on 2 sacks?
I think he has 3 sacks.
You were taking the over.
Smith. Yep.
Okay. Grant.
I'm going to go Browns and go over as well. That offensive line's horrifying, and Chip Kelly is calling plays. So,
yeah.
I am going to take the Raiders because if Shedeur Sanders is playing, they're going to get massacred. That guy sucks on ice. And I'm actually going to take the under. Okay. I think you'll get I'm thinking 1.5. That's why.
All right.
If he hits 2 on the split, then we don't count it.
Okay. Fair enough.
Then we don't count it, and we'll have to do some other rando thing like do points on the Steelers-Bears game or something like that.
Yeah.
All right, last one, Niners-Panthers. Monday Night Football. Just from a record standpoint, this made perfect sense to do. Panthers getting a big win in overtime this last week, and Bryce playing as well as he is. The Niners just gave up 400-plus yards to a quarterback in the air and won a game by 3 scores. So it's an interesting matchup. One little thing, Niners don't know who their kicker is right now for Sunday. They tried out 3 kickers today because Pinheiro is going to miss probably 1 game. He's got a grade 1 strain on the hamstring. They'll have a sub in for the week. I'm just going to take the Niners because their offense is healthy. And that offense against pretty much anybody is difficult to stop.
They can go toe-to-toe with everybody.
Yeah. So I'm going to take it for that reason. But, man, Panthers are looking good. Got a lot of weapons.
Yeah, I'm going Niners as well. I just think you just go pound for pound, I like what they're doing. I got to say, I was pretty wrong on Dave Canales. They're looking good. Panthers, if you're a Panthers fan, you're happy where your team is heading for the first time in 10 years, maybe, since the Cam Newton's MVP year, probably. So that's awesome for you. Happy for Panthers fans. Your owner's the worst. He's awful. So
horrible human being. So
I'm glad you guys are 6-5 and have a winning record right now. I just think you're a couple of years off still, but Niners.
Yeah, this is the first time that CMC is playing the Panthers since leaving the Panthers.
Ooh,
so a bit of a revenge game here, and also just to go back in recent history here because I was looking to make sure this was the revenge game. Last 2 matchups for these teams, the Niners won in 2019 51-13. And then the year before that, won 37, or 2022, the last matchup. This would have been before you guys had CMC, 37-15, also beating the Panthers there. So for many reasons, as fun as the story of the Panthers has been, it's got to be 49ers for me. That offense is clicking, and plus a little revenge, if you want to call it revenge, I guess.
I don't know if you would, because
Homecoming.
I'm sure CMC is very grateful that they sent him away.
Yeah.
But still, yes. I
Yeah,
get it
we'll call it the care package game.
Yeah.
Well,
the thank you card game.
But the Panthers aren't feeling bad about their run game at all right now.
No.
So no hate. Don't get me wrong. They'd still rather have the Ferrari in the garage, but genuinely, they
Rico
look good.
Dowdle and Ted McMillan versus the Niners defense right now could be a little.
They might score some
interesting.
points. They'll move the ball.
I think they'll make it interesting, but I just ultimately think like the way that this Niners team is coached right now and having some of those guys back on offense, it's just too much for the
27, 28 points for the Niners, around 20 for the Panthers. Wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
A couple touchdowns, a couple field goals, and Niners pull out a decent one here against a team that's vying for a playoff spot. Wouldn't surprise me. That's it for our pick'em. That's it for our episode tonight. We are so looking forward to the next several weeks of the NFL season, seeing how some of this stuff shapes up. We're going to be going over the playoff structure a little bit more, talking about that next week and what teams need to secure a spot. We're also going to start going through each week the percentage chances that some of these teams make the playoffs. Seeing a lot of stats come up on it already, teams that are getting eliminated. But what needs to happen for some of these teams to make it, we'll deep dive into that as that picture becomes all the more, just a little more clear next week. And so we'll look forward to unpacking all of that and getting ready for my second favorite holiday of the year. Turkey Week is coming, everybody. 3 games next Thursday. Line them up. The only Thursday football that should ever happen.
Amen.
Thanksgiving week's coming. So hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you right back here for the wrap-up of Week 12.